You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello everyone and welcome in to JW World News. Well, my name is Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm so glad you're joining in tonight. And I'm looking at a computer screen full here. I see people coming in from pretty much all over the world on our telephone radio network. Plus, we get so many people, too, that are coming into YouTube and Facebook. We want to thank you, and we appreciate you coming in and want to spend some time with us tonight here on the Six Screens. Boy, do we have a great program lined up here tonight. We have got two great guests that will be coming on. We have got Derek Barefoot. Now, he wrote a book called The Hour of Darkness. And in that book, Derek Barefoot, he talks all about those subliminal images, those images that, friends, they're satanic. They're occult. I don't know what else you would call them. But he's going to come on. He's going to explain how he got disfellowshipped because he pointed people's direction to these images in Watchtower publications that were kind of spooky. He'll talk about that. He'll be on shortly. Plus, we also have Fritz Springmeier. My goodness, we all know Fritz. He's an author as well. He wrote the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. And he claims, of course, the Watchtower is part of that whole world new government, so to speak, that is trying to manipulate mankind. So Fritz will be on with us, and we'll have them on very shortly. And we wanted to, I wanted to first of all mention, before we really get into the news, because we got some time to do it, but I did want to, we'll talk about the memorial a little bit later after our guests come on, but I will talk about the convention because two of these authors that are coming on tonight, if all goes well, they'll be coming to the convention as well. Now, we are having a convention, as you well know, up here in Boston at the Hilton Hotel. It's in actually Tewksbury. It's 20 miles north of Boston. So we are going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of people coming. We have 300 now that seem to be all set to come. And we're shooting for 500. We'll see what happens. If we can get that many, I'll be very, very happy. But what I wanted to do here is I wanted to, I'm going to put across the bottom, there's going to be on the bottom of the screen, you'll see information on the convention. And I'm going to put that up right now. We're calling it the Still Alive in 2025 Ex-Jehovah's Witness Convention. And that's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd up here, like I say, in Massachusetts. And everyone's invited. The tickets are free. I've been mailing tickets out like there's no tomorrow. People are writing me from all over the world, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Australia. People are coming in from all over, and we really want to let people know that we want you to come, and if you can do it. Now, the Hilton Hotel, it's not inexpensive, but let me tell you something. The days of $39 hotels are gone the way of the buffalo. The hotel is going to cost, normally without the discount that you can have, I'll give you a code, without the discount, you'd pay $250 a night. That's expensive, right? But with the discount, you get $75 off. And the code you have to use is my last name, F-E-A-R-O-N, Farron. That's the code you use, and you'll be able to get the room for $75 less. Plus, I'm also believing, they told me anyways, they're going to give us all breakfast. And I'm going to really make sure they do. I'm going to push hard to do that. They're going to give us breakfast, they told me. And it's not like a cheese Danish and some Swiss Miss pudding. It's a regular sit-down breakfast. If you walked in off the street and you said, hey, I'm going to have breakfast here at the Hilton Hotel, they charge you $17. So it's a really good breakfast. So hopefully we can get that worked into the plan, but try to make reservations and come up because this is a great place to come in the summer. Generally, New England's cooler. than the rest of the country. We get Canadian air come in. We're off the North Atlantic coast. So generally speaking, it's somewhat cooler than other parts of the United States. So, it's a lot of history up here. We got the ocean. We got the mountains. We got it all. So if you can make it up here to Boston, the apostate capital of the world, well, we'd love to have you. Now, we're going to have some guests. And Derek, if you're on the line with us, hang in with us, stay with us. We'll have you on in just a few minutes. But I wanted to tell you who we got going so far. We do have Barbara Anderson coming, and we're looking forward to her. All goes well. She's going to be here in person. We have a woman coming in from the University of Louisville, Kentucky. She's an AI professor, lead professor at the University of Louisville, and she's an expert in AI, artificial intelligence. And she's going to explain to us all about Watchtower and their use of AI. So that's going to be fascinating. We have an elder coming in from Ohio, and we've been wanting people to send us information of if they have a story that's of extreme abuse in the Watchtower. If you are one that has had extreme abuse, well, by all means, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. And what I'll do is I'll get you to speak. Now, we have an elder that's going to have a talk at the convention. And I talked to him. His name is Tony. He's out of Ohio. And Tony, he nearly had me crying on the phone. His son committed suicide while in the Watchtower. It's a story that he'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Tony's going to give a talk. Plus, we also have Fritz Springmeier is going to be there in person. And he's going to release a new book there that he just has. He's finishing up now. And then also we hopefully, in fact, Derek Barefoot, whether it's in person or he's going to come in on the internet, that's going to be good as well with his Hour of Darkness. And we can ask these people questions. And it's so great to have them with us. And I did contact the Zalkin Law Firm in San Diego, California. I did contact them this week. I wanted to speak with Mr. Zalkin. He wasn't there at the time, but he's going to get back to me, Erwin Zalkin. Now, we know who he is. He's a lawyer for many people who have brought plaintiff charges against the Watchtower for sexual abuse. And Mr. Zalkin has represented them and has done a fine job helping these witnesses to get their just due from the Watchtower. And he, in fact, Zalkin has been appearing on a few YouTube videos. And a good friend of mine, Barbara Anderson, knows him quite well. And to be quite frank, he has openly said that the Watchtower is the worst organization that he has ever dealt with, ever in his career. So we're hoping to get Mr. Zalkin here. I talked to a representative just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and they seem pretty interested. So if we can't get Mr. Zalkin here in person, maybe we can get him on the internet coming through StreamYard, or maybe we can even get a representative of his. But wouldn't it be great to have Mr. Zalkin right here explain to us all the ins and outs of going to court against the Watchtower? Well, you're on 6 Screens, JW World News. Is Derek Barefoot on with us? Derek Barefoot, if you are.
Yes.
Oh, there you are, Derek. Thank you for being in and holding on. We do have Derek Barefoot. I'm going to hold up, Derek, your book. This is the book right here. This is one of the very first books I got when I was leaving the Watchtower. This is called The Hour of Darkness. This really fascinated me. I really was so eager to be able to get this book because I really saw those pictures as well. And Derek was the one that really brought it to everyone's attention that in the Watchtower publications, and he's going to talk to a little bit about it tonight, but in Watchtower publications, so many people are now noticing that there are little pictures that are what you would say subliminal. You really don't see it until you kind of really examine it and look at it very closely. Then you can see these subliminal pictures. And the question has always been, why are they there? And Derek Barefoot, He was the one that brought this to our attention. So, Derek, I'm so glad you came on here tonight. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Rick. I was on before, but it's been many years now, so I'm happy to be back again.
Yeah, in fact, what we're trying to do is bring back some of the people from years ago, because there's so many people leaving the Watchtower now that I want them to be able to connect with stuff that happened years ago. A lot of people never heard of this stuff that we talk about. But one thing I will say here on the Six Screens, we examine everything. We have an open mind here at the Six Screens. We have a very intelligent audience, and we want to hear everything that comes down the pike concerning the Jehovah's Witnesses, whether it's satanic ritual abuse or whether it's total false prophecies or whatever it would be, the connection with occultism, we expose it here. And we've always done that, always had an open mind. And I know that there's many people listening to this program tonight that when they hear the subliminal pictures in the Watchtower, they become skeptical. And that's okay if they do, because Derek understands that. So, Derek, I'm going to give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about Derek in the book.
Sure. Well, I was raised in the Witnesses. I'm an older guy now. I was born in 1956, but I was a third generation witness on both sides of my family. So I grew up in the organization. There were things about the organization and teachings that gradually began to bother me and gnaw at me a little bit. But, when you're a witness and when you're invested and your family and friends are all in the Witnesses, you find ways to, rationalize things that might disturb you or give you questions. You kind of push those down for a while. I did that, but I can't say that was always easy. But then something strange happened, separate from some of my questions about witness teachings that had developed and the sort of their methods, their authoritarianism and that kind of thing, is I was in San Diego. There was a witness convention there in the summer, and I was asked to help do security patrol. But this was in 1983. With another young witness, and we would patrol the grounds, in the wee hours of the morning. And he made an offhand remark about, he said, I forget what the subject was exactly, sort of questions that we had that there weren't real obvious answers to. And he says, well, it's just like, those pictures. And I said, what pictures are you talking about? He says, well, those funny pictures back in the, in the February Watchtower of that year of 1983. I said, well, I never heard anything about that. And he said, oh, it's just a funny thing. There are these pictures that, shouldn't really be there, but I don't know why they put them in, but they're there. So when I got home, I looked at, what he was talking about in the February 1st Watchtower. There's a picture of two witnesses on the street witnessing to a woman.
That's it. Lick my ass off, baby. Look at Jesus. Look at.
Hello?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here, Derek. Sorry. No. In fact, it's fascinating how you connected with all of this. Can you tell us? Can you tell us what was the end result? In other words, if you could go back now and say, geez, would you do this all over again?
Sure.
Yeah. Would I lick your asshole, Derek? Derek, would I lick your asshole again?
Hold on, Derek. We got to
slide a finger in your asshole.
We got people.
Oh, fuck you.
Goodbye.
Derek, forgive me for that. What happens is we have people come on here from Bethel. They're drunken Bethelites. They come on with various comments and they swear. But thank you for understanding, Derek. I'm sorry. Yep. You there, Derek? Hello? Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, folks.
Welcome to My One Number.
Hold on, folks.
For the host, press star now. Otherwise, it will be joined. Please enter your PIN. Thank you. There are 13 participants in the conference. Recording did not start because your storage is full. Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account.
Okay, let's go with there. Hello, Derek. Can you hear me now? Hold on 1 second. Derek, are you on there with us? I'm not sure Derek can hear me. Derek Barefoot, are you on with us? Hold on 1 second, folks. Let me see if I can't get him back on the line with us. There was an issue with, hold on 1 second. The drunken Bethelites come in and they try to raise havoc on our program here tonight. So that seems to be one of the issues. So let's see if we can't get Derek back on here with us. Hold on 1 second, folks. Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm not complaining, just explaining. Just give us a little time here. Derek Barefoot, hit *6 and come on with us. *6, Derek, if you can hear me. *6, Derek Barefoot. Well, let's see. I don't know what happened, why he disappeared. But anyways, I'm going to try to give him a call and see what happened. I'll try to call him here. We'll call him right now and see what happened. So anyways, we're glad you're with us here tonight on the 6 screens. Let's call Derek. Hello, Derek. This is Rick at the 6 screens. What happens is we have these drunken Bethelites come in and they disrupt the show and they swear and all that. So we got the program locked. I'm sorry. That's why I was kind of a little discombobulating at first. But you, when you came on, they got very nervous when we have guests on. So can we get you back on again?
Sure. You want me to call back then?
Yeah, call back in the same telephone number. We'll bring you back in. I got the call locked now. They have been coming in. They have been coming in and trying to disrupt the program. But we'll get you back on. I want to bring you back where you started, okay? Thank you.
Okay, I'll get it.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so that's it. We got Derek back. But, that's what we do here at the 6 screens. When we bring people on that really have something to say, people that could really do some damage to the Watchtower, this is what we land up with. We have the drunken Bethelites. So these are Watchtower operatives that make their way in here. They call the conference call and try to disrupt it. So the conference call is locked right now. In fact, I have to unlock it. So I'm going to do that right now so we can call in.
The conference has been unlocked.
All right, so we're going to make sure that he can get in. Just give us a few seconds here, and we'll bring him on. So,
Hello, Rick.
Yes, can you hear me now, Derek? That's good. Yep.
Yes, I can't.
The conference has been locked.
Back.
Okay, good. Thank you back. I got you back in. Yeah. So I just locked the conference. So they. I just locked it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, so I'm sorry for that confusion. I try to get those people off as fast as they can. They use vulgar language, and sorry for that, but it does happen. This is what's happening in the real world today. So go ahead, Derek. I'm sorry for the disruption.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that I saw these pictures. They are. To say subliminal is a little misleading because they're really just secondary pictures, only partially hidden or obscured in some of the other illustrations. And I tried to bring them to the attention of the Watchtower Society. I was naive about that. Other witnesses were seeing them. These weren't crazy people. They weren't marginal or fringe witnesses. Some of them wrote to the Watchtower Society, because some of these pictures were fairly obvious once just to look at a certain part of the picture for, something that otherwise your mind just passes, your eye just passes over. But the long and the short of it is I was disfellowshipped along with several of my family members, my wife, because they saw that, these things were there. And they also realized that whenever a problem comes up that might say just to be embarrassing a bit for the society to deal with, the Watchtower Society, they will use a very, very heavy hand to try to, squelch it. And of course, they have control of elder bodies, and they're willing to put a lot of pressure on people to come down very hard on those who express any kind of questioning or disagreement, or raise some kind of issue that they would rather not give any attention to. And I would just say, I did bring out a book, 1992, so it's been a while, but I think that the material in the book is still extremely relevant, and my experiences and those of my family that I describe in the book are still relevant to people. The book is on Amazon, and the title of the book is Jehovah's Witnesses and the Hour of Darkness. So if someone is looking for it, if you just put in Hour of Darkness, it might not turn up. But it is actually Jehovah's Witnesses and the Hour of Darkness. My name, Derek Barefoot, of course, is the author. So it's available on Amazon. But I would just say that, these pictures, many of them are quite obvious. I do have, for example, letters from art experts that had no connection to the Watchtower. They're not former witnesses. They had no a reason to, they weren't Watchtower bashers or anything like that. That I just had look at these and give an artist, commercial artist opinion. 3 of them, 2 in California, 1 in Colorado. Those were the only ones that I asked to give an opinion, and they all said that several of these images, at least, were deliberately created. They were not simply accidental, squiggles or lines that were being stretched and made into something that really was not there. And so those letters are in the book. They went on the record with their names, their businesses. One of them was the art director of the local university here in Western Colorado, Colorado Mesa University. So it's a good, I guess it's kind of a little laboratory of how they deal with potential threats to their public image and the kind of tactics they employ, and the fact that I believe that, some people think that this was orchestrated by the governing body, that they want to insert these pictures which have an occult theme to them, that they want to insert them. I did not uncover evidence of that. But if you think of just the people at the Bethel, factory that do this stuff, like the artists, they live in a cocooned environment. So it's kind of, in some ways, it's a very safe environment to live in. But at the same time, it's not a very exciting life. It's in many ways psychologically an oppressive environment. And it would give them an exciting kind of thrill, I think, to see what they can get away with. And because the organization is so authoritarian and so concerned about their image, they're more willing to sweep something under the rug than deal with it, because to do so would involve some bit of embarrassment or admission that they are not inspired and infallible, so to speak. That it's a breeding ground for this kind of thing. It's a breeding ground for a lot of bad things. So that can grow underneath the surface, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, well I've got some pictures here that I'd like to put up. We're on YouTube as well and Facebook, so you probably can't see it. But I do know in your book,
I'm just on a phone, but
yeah. But in your book, you did deal. There's a picture on picture on page 159 of the Revelation book. This is probably one of the more profound, noticeable pictures that deals with the Apostle Paul holding his hand out, and the picture of a face in the hand. You familiar with that picture?
Yeah, it's actually that's the angel. The John is a little figure.
Oh, right. It's the angel. Yeah, in fact, I had it backwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's the angel holding his hand out, and this is something in occult art. putting a face in a hand. That's a popular theme in occult art. Plus, it goes a little bit. It's a kind of a little joke on the title of the book, which is Revelation. It's a grand climax at hand. That's the title of the book. But that's one of the clearer and really more obvious instances. And the commercial artists, I think the first one I had them look at, and they instantly said, "Oh, that's not accidental." That's like I said, an artist is aware of the lines that they're using. That something like that is not going to just happen by accident.
Yeah, that's on page 159 of the Revelation book, and that's an angel, as Derek says, speaking with John. I guess you're getting ready to hold a hand on the scroll. But anyways, that is so noticeable. But, people do miss it until you point it out to them, and then they can see it so clearly.
Right.
So, I mean, that is something.
Right.
Now, you mentioned hands used a lot. I mean, there's another image too that I believe you do have in your book. It's on page. It's actually on page 52, and this deals with a kind of a hand reaching out to touch a staff. Is that in your book? It's a wicked looking hand that comes out.
In the Revelation book?
Yeah, Revelation. Yeah, I believe it's Revelation, page 52, and it deals with a.
Okay, it could be. I'm not looking at the Revelation book right now. I don't have one in front of me, but that well could be. I should be watching you on YouTube, but I'm not in a room that has a computer right now.
No, it's okay. Don't you worry. But tell us now, what do you think? Do you think that hand that was in the hand, that face in the hand of the angel? Now, I did some research, and you probably know what that was as well, right? That face was a god, Pan, the god Pan. Did you?
Right. Yes, I remember now. You're pointing that out. So, yeah, there is a kind of theme to these things, which is that, for example, in that Watchtower of February 1st, 1983, page 17, where that woman's dress, that is a figure that image in her dress is modeled on classic representations of the Greek gods, either Zeus or Poseidon. They're both pictured with this curly locks and this full curly beard. So there's a theme of, sort of Greek gods, figures from elsewhere in, occultic or pagan iconography. It's clearly a theme. If you look at several examples of these, you see that coming through.
In fact, I'm going to put that up right now. I'm going to do that right now. So let me get that up here right now. Let me just download this. Give me a second. I want the people to see it, because that's one of the ones that you could notice. As soon as someone showed you that, you'd come right to grips with it and realize it. So let's do this. Download 5. Let me see if I can't get that up there for us right now. Derek, give us a second. And I'll get it up on YouTube and Facebook. They're seeing it as well. So let me go over here now and see if we can add that image right now. And that would be image 5. Okay, well, let's see. Well, tell us how did you first, as I'm getting that up here for us right now, tell us how was it that you were able to, what first made you notice this stuff? That's what I would like to know.
Yeah, well, like I said, a young guy told me about it. I looked in that February 1st, 1983 Watchtower. I saw there are a couple of images that are pretty easy to notice. That woman, the one in the woman's dress being the most notable, but there were a couple of others. But I thought that was a one-off. I thought an artist kind of got a little cagey there. I did not realize or think that it was more widespread. Then I was having a Bible study several years later in 1987. So we're talking about 4 years later. I was having a Bible study in the Live Forever book. So You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth. It's a book with a red cover. As I was doing this study, it was a person who was a very slow reader, and my eye was just wandering around the page, kind of waiting for them to read the paragraph they were on. And I noticed this on page 93, there is a waterfall, and there are some rocks arranged in this waterfall picture. There are some women in the foreground. It's the angels looking at the women, before the flood is sort of the theme of the picture. And I noticed that waterfall is really arranged in the shape of a skull. It kind of, when my eye finally, latched onto that, it just kind of, my jaw just dropped. Anyone, it's reproduced in my book. If someone has a Live Forever book, they can take a look on it. Page 93, it's a pretty clear image of a skull. It's just missing the upper jaw and teeth to disguise it a little bit. But I don't think that it's not really that difficult to see what they've done. And at that point, I realized that this was a more widespread kind of thing. This wasn't just one issue of a magazine. And here's something that I will, there is this phenomenon called pareidolia. That's the tendency of the human mind to be able to sort of see faces, because, when your brain is developing as a young child, you need to recognize faces very quickly. So we do have a capacity to kind of look up in the clouds and create a face from different lines or shapes. So it gives the artist some plausible deniability, this idea, your mind tends to do that to create faces. But that's not what the source of these images really is, because I went back myself and looked through earlier literature. The witness illustrations, the Watchtower illustrations became more colorful in the 1980s, but they had plenty of illustrations in earlier literature from the 1970s back into the 60s. And I looked through all that stuff, and I just did not see the same kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't, plenty of dark influences at work during that period. And, if someone shows me something, I guess I could be persuaded that there might be some instant. But it's not in that earlier literature, at least as far as I could ever see, the way it is starting in about 1983 and then forward, it continued. So this is not a case of just looking a little, crossways at anything you see and constructing some kind of image or face out of it. Again, the other thing is there's actually a message in words in the November 1st, 1989 issue of the Watchtower, page 10, on a movie marquee that perfectly describes what the phenomenon actually is. And there's just no explanation for those words. There are 4 words there. There's no legitimate explanation for those words. When you look at them closely and realize, what they are saying about what the artist is doing.
Yeah, it's a jest. It's like a joke. They're actually making fun of it.
Yeah.
So
the 4 words on there, the words are jest is the first word, then tups, T-U-P-S, then through, T-H-R-U, and then the last word is daily, D-A-L-Y. And if you just take the second word, first of all, the word jest, why would that be there? A jest is a joke or a prank or something of that nature. But if you just take the second word and turn those letters around, it says, and the first word is, it's jest. And then if you take that second word, like I say, and turn it around, what you get is jests, because the S then can go with the word jest. Jests put through daily. In other words, someone is saying that they are making jokes on a daily basis, and that's what these images represent. It certainly is a joke on the readers, and maybe they consider it to be a joke on the authorities at the Watchtower because they're doing this right under their noses.
Well, it's all fascinating stuff, Derek. And boy, if you can make it up here to the convention, or we'll bring you on internet, we're going to get more deep into it. But people are seeing on YouTube, it's very fascinating, very fascinating what you have to talk about when it comes to this imagery in the Watchtower. I mean, there's a lot of people that are skeptics, but it's there. And what would you say? What would you say is the real meaning behind it, Derek? Well, is there anything that we can go pretty deep with here? And is there a meaning? Or do you just think it's something they were joking around with?
Well, I think that it's something, I don't have a magical window into, the art department. I couldn't interview these people or that kind. I just have to look at the evidence in front of me. But clearly, I think these people, the minds of the people, I don't know if it's one or more artists. I will just say that I know it was going on as of 2001. That's the last year I actually looked at a Watchtower, and it was still happening then. I have not been, I have other things to do with my life than follow this, but it was lasting at least that long. It was at least one artist, maybe more. And obviously something dark is going on, at least in their minds. And the only way, even if the governing body had nothing to do with this, like they were not instructing someone to do this, their insistence on crushing and quelching all dissent, all questioning, all criticism, that is what allows this dark thing and plenty of other dark things. It allows them to grow in the organization. So I think that there is a message about exercise of power, the way they used it, of what that can nurture in an organization of people, and it's not good stuff.
Yeah, well, what gets me thinking here as well is when you started being vocal about it and suggesting that you see this. They, rather than sit you down and talk to you in a fine way and give you some type of an explanation, they just fellowshipped you. Is that right?
Yes, what happened was I don't know exactly how it happened, but I had some material related to this that I was looking at in my desk drawer at work, and I had another witness that worked in an adjoining office, and at some point he must have. I don't know exactly how this happened, but he came across some information that I was accumulating relative to trying to alert the society to this. I was not trying to, I wasn't broadcasting this inside my local congregation or going around to different people and talking about it other than the members of my own family a bit. But somehow, instead of coming to me and saying, well, what exactly is this that I saw? What's the explanation for it? He apparently went back to the elders. They went back to the society. He went and then secretly, without my knowledge, got into my drawer, took different items, and then these were later presented against me as evidence that I was focusing on this issue and that this was really a form of apostasy because I was questioning the society having, sufficiently kept a watch over the art that they were producing, because the society came out with two explicit denials that there was anything to this. One of them was, let me see here, Watchtower, September 1st, 1984. And the other one, and I haven't got a page number there, but it was an article, Would You Spread a Rumor, that said there's absolutely nothing to this, which simply wasn't true. And then another one in 1987, Watchtower of March 1st, which said that all the artwork was being carefully screened by members of the governing body. Well, you know, if it was being carefully screened, they were blind, you know, because these things would keep appearing now and then, not necessarily in every picture, but these things kept happening.
Yes, they did. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, Derek, I'm going to, come August, we're going to hear more about it one way or the other. We're going to hear more about it. But, geez, I really thank you for taking the time out of your night to come and be on our program. And sorry for the disruption there beginning. Kind of got a little discombobulated. We have these Bethelites. I call them drunken Bethelites. What they do is they drink like crazy, Derek, up in Brooklyn, up in Warwick. Yes. And then what happens is whether they're commissioned by the Watchtower or whether they're operatives, but they come on and try to disrupt our program. But thank you for understanding about that. And I'll be in touch with you before August, and we'll work things out. So thank you very much for coming on tonight. Appreciate it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go, but I'll look forward to doing something with you in your August event. Okay.
Thank you. In fact, this is the book right here, folks. You're watching on YouTube. Jehovah's Witnesses in the Hour of Darkness. You can get it on Amazon. You get this book, you will be really involved in it. You won't put it down. You'll start looking at all these pictures. You'll start grabbing Watchtower publications and looking at them like crazy, like I did at first. So we thank Derek for coming on and sharing his information. Thank you, Derek. All right. Well.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Okay. Now I had to lock up the phone call here. I think I'll open up. I do believe Fritz is going to be coming on with us. Okay, Rick, I sent a message. I'm going to I'm texting him as I'm doing this, multitasking. Did you get the message? Get the email. Fritz wants to come on a video. No, he never did that before. So he says, Rick, I want to come on video tonight. So let's see what happens. I'm going to unlock the call here just for now. So, any bad language.
The conference has been unlocked.
So any bad language, let's not get too riled up about it. It's kind of a shame we have to lock this up, but from time to time we have to do it. But anyways, I'm going to see if Fritz, did you get the email? I just text Fritz. We're going to get Fritz Springmeier. He's another author. He's coming to the convention. He's going to be there in person. So we're looking forward to Fritz Springmeier, author of the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. So we're just waiting now to get confirmation of him coming in. I sent him an email, and all Fritz has to do is hit the email, the link, and he'll come on. I'm looking right now to see if I can bring him backstage here. But what's really of interest to me is we're getting a lot of people that are voicing their thoughts about coming to the convention. And we've got Barbara Anderson. We've got Fritz Springmeier, as we say. We have some elders are going to give some extreme stories of abuse in the Watchtower, and we're looking forward to that. And as Derek Barefoot just said, he's either going to come here in person or we're going to bring him via the internet. And I've been in touch with the Zalkin law firm as well, as I said earlier, and we're trying to get Mr. Irwin Zalkin, or at least a representative out here as well, to come to our Still Alive in 2025 convention. I'm going to give Fritz a call here and see if he can come on. If not on the video, he wants to come on video.
Hello there?
Yes. Are you there? Is that you, Fritz?
No, this is Marty. Listen, I just wanted to be on real brief. You showed the book. I just mentioned that book last week to you, and that's a good book right there. Anybody picks that book up, it's going to do it for you.
Well, Marty, it tells a lot. Now, a lot of people don't believe it. They don't believe those images are there. They think people are making it up. And some of the images they are. But on the other hand, I have to say that, we do have, hold on one second. I got to get this call coming in. Hello?
Sure, go ahead.
Is that you, Fritz? Okay, no, I'm not sure who that is, but that's okay. We're going to let that one go. I'm going to end it there. Okay, so we're going to have Fritz come on. Thank you, Marty, for coming in and saying that. I'm going to just bring Fritz on right now. This is Fritz Springmeier. He is the author of the Bloodlines of the Illuminati. Let's bring Fritz on to stage and see if we can hear him all right. Hello, Fritz.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Sorry for the disruption there, but we're glad to get you on here, Fritz. My goodness, this is the first time we get you on video. So you're on YouTube, Facebook, you're on our radio network as well. So we're glad you're with us. And we've been talking about the convention. Boy, you look sharp there. You got a tie on. You're looking great. Yes, yeah. So, Fritz, tell us now, anything new that is kind of going on in the Watchtower?
Well, you're familiar with whatever I'm going to say, but I guess I can say it. You know, they continue their downward spiral, and today they're having their memorial, and they're trying to get anybody they can to come to it. They don't care who they invite, so that they can get those numbers up. And as you know, they're having to consolidate things. One of the things that the Watchtower is doing, and you probably reported on this. I haven't had time to track what you've been saying in your reports, but they've kind of changed their tactics. You know, if you're in the mall, they ride up on you and have their phone and a recorded message to play to you. And if you're waiting on a bus, they come up to you. You know, and like here last year at the when they would have farmers markets. You know, they would come to the farmers markets. So they've changed a little bit in how they're approaching things. From what I understand, they're still doing some door to door, but it's, you know, they're not recording things like they used to. But you know, you could tell. I don't know why I'm talking. You should be the one talking because you're the one who tracks everything that they're doing.
Yeah, in fact, well, I wanted to bring you on, and I just wanted to see what you might be having some thoughts about. Of course, you are the author of the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. Let me just put this banner up here so people understand who you are and what's going on. This is Fritz Springmeier. He's coming in from you down there in Kansas, and Fritz has been on our program numerous times. And I have to tell you, we're so glad. A lot of people have been asking me, bring Fritz back on. So we have Fritz on with us. But Fritz, the reason why I brought you on tonight is we were talking about the convention, and of course you're going to be there in person with your family. We're all looking forward to meeting you and your family. And you can tell us, we got you scheduled for a couple of talks, and you're going to talk about the Illuminati. But for people, there's so many new ones just coming in, Fritz, for the first time. They're coming in for the first time because they're leaving the Watchtower. There's thousands of people. In fact, never in the history of the Watchtower, Fritz, has there been this many people on the edge. Now, we know in 2 times in history, back in the 1920s, when Rutherford came into office, a number of the Russellites, or the people who were following Russell, they left. And they left because they didn't like, as you know, Rutherford. And at that time, there were 250,000 people that left. Now, there also was another time in history that 250,000 people left the Watchtower as well, and that was in 1975, a year or so just after that. So, but that is pale. Those numbers are pale concerning how many people right now, Fritz, are on the edge. Now, they're not pulling out quite yet, but you've heard the term PMO. You know what PMO is? That is,
Go ahead.
That's an acronym for Jehovah's Witnesses that are mentally in, physically out. That means they're going to the meetings in a perfunctory way. In other words, they don't want to cause any problems for their families. So they're just going, but they don't believe it. And I've been putting surveys out here on the 6 screens, Fritz, on asking people how many PMOs you think there are. Would you like to take a guess at that? How many people do you think are just going to the meetings and just kind of pretending they are one of Jehovah's Witnesses? How many do you think,
About a
Fritz?
third? Maybe
Huh?
a third? Maybe a third?
Yeah, you're coming close. You're coming very close. In fact, I'll tell you what. So some are suggesting, and I've been doing little surveys here on the 6 screens in the last couple of years. Some are suggesting there could be upwards of 4 million people that are just, I don't know why they're waiting. A lot of them are, well, they're afraid. They are, and they know what's going to happen. They don't want to be displaced from their family members. They want to be able to talk to them still. I mean, we know how evil the Watchtower is. So that's a lot of people, and they're listening in here tonight. We got a lot of PMOs listening in, and we also have. I'll tell you what. We even get Jehovah's Witnesses, active, loyal Jehovah's Witnesses that listen in. Can you believe that? They still believe in the Watchtower, but they listen in. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to jump in here, excuse me, but I was a missionary to bring Jehovah's Witnesses to Christ. I was a missionary for Witness Inc., Witness Incorporated. And so I have visited with a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses and a lot of people that have left the Jehovah's Witnesses. And the flip side of what you're saying is there's a lot of people that have left the Jehovah's Witnesses that haven't mentally left. They still think like a Jehovah's Witness. And they'll tell you, I'm no longer a Jehovah's Witness. You start talking to them and you find out they are still mentally a Jehovah's Witness. And you try to ask them, well, where did you get that idea? Where did you get that belief? And they'll say, oh, well, that's what's reasonable. They'll act like they came up with that belief themselves, when those of us who know better know that it was indoctrination that gave them that idea. And so they're still continuing to follow their indoctrination, and it's going to be a process for those people. It's going to take a number of years for them, tiny step at a tiny step, baby step, their minds out of the indoctrination of the Watchtower Society.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly the case. There's a lot that still have it in them. But, when I first came in contact with you, and I bought the book even before I knew you, but it really fascinated me. Of course, Satan kicked me out of his organization back in 2005. And that happened. I was disfellowshipped, of course, for the worst thing it could possibly be disfellowshipped for. As a matter of fact, I was disfellowshipped for apostasy. But in my judicial committee hearing, Fritz, they said that I was even worse than an apostate. I'm saying, well, how worse can you be than an apostate? So I was, you well know, as of the anointed class. So they called me an evil slave. So, they said that I was turning on my brothers and sisters. And, I'll tell you what, this organization, that they have a little jargon, a little thing of their own going on. They're like in a capsule. They don't see anything going on in the outside world. They have their own language. They speak their own way in their own terms. But, when I came across the term Illuminati, well, that was probably in 2007. I really never heard of the Illuminati. And an ex-witness brought that to my attention. Then I got your book and I started reading about it. But you suggest in the book that the Pastor Russell, who basically did start the Watchtower, he was involved with the powers to be, these world powers that were trying to manipulate humanity. And Russell, according to you, was in the bloodlines of the Illuminati. He was part of this whole thing. So you still stand on the ground that you have been standing on for many years, that the Watchtower was indeed a good part of that. Now, would you say they're still involved with it, Fritz?
Yes, they are, but the powers that be, the cabal or the Illuminati, whatever you want to label them, they're letting them go, and but when it comes to things like the trauma-based mind control, yeah, they're still involved with the trauma-based mind control. Um, and I wonder if Tony Morris wasn't involved with that, but because it would make sense. Uh, and that was one of the things that I exposed was the Illuminati's mind control. So in 1990, I started publicly exposing the world order, the Illuminati, all of these groups that they work through. And the first book that I came out with was The Watchtower and the Masons, showing that there was a connection between the Watchtower Society and the occult. And I have a new book that's probably 5 or 10 times more powerful than the original. And I sent you an early draft of that, and it's further along than it's complete, except I haven't completed the index. But I want to have that book available for people at the convention. It struck me that, people that are Jehovah's Witnesses are used to getting a book at a convention. So Lord willing, that's what will happen is that will be available. And if I have it available before the convention, I'll start selling it ahead of time. Wow, that's a big subject, and I don't know how I would introduce it except to say, back then when I wrote the Watchtower and the Masons book, I had access to a library that had everything that the Watchtower Society had ever put out. Not only books, not only magazines, and understand there's been more than just Watchtower and Wakes. There's been other magazines like Consolation. There's been other magazines that the Watchtower Society's put out. Records, pamphlets, tracts, everything. And also we had things from the breakaway groups, the Russellites that you referred to earlier. So I could go through, and which I did since I love to research, and I realized that this coincided with my research into the Illuminati. Russell was obviously a Freemason, even though he said he wasn't. And plenty of Freemasons deny that they're Freemasons. It's not unusual for a Freemason to say he's not, if he's in a position where it would be disadvantageous to admit that you were a Freemason. But this new book that I have, if I'm remembering correctly, I've got 37 or 38 ways, parallels between Russell and Masonic beliefs. It's pretty incredible. When you go through that chapter, you realize, wow, if he wasn't a Freemason, he might as well been, because he was the spitting image of a Freemason the way he thought. But
Yeah,
all the things,
I wanted to bring up, as I was reviewing the book that you sent me, there was a few things, Fritz, that really did grab my attention. And as you just mentioned, I never heard this before until I saw your book. As you just said, not all Freemasons would broadcast or admit their membership to the Freemasons. And so, there's so many people that have come on our program and, no, Russell was not a Freemason. There's no evidence of it. But, he never wanted to admit that. And there's so many things that Russell, as you said in the book, is, there was one particular thing in page 147. And 147, under Russell's talking about the Masonic, he gives sermons that are very much like a Masonic sermon. And you mentioned in the book that Russell said that there's an outward church and there's an inward church. And he says the world has seen the outward church, but not the inward. So he is implying that what he had is of secret knowledge, just like the Masons would. In other words, all those people are way different than we are. We're an inward. You don't know about us, and that got my attention. Also, on page 165, you speak about Maria Russell. I never knew that she was well educated, as you say in the book, and she was a communist. I never heard that before. How'd you find that out?
Oh, I have known that from my days back before I even wrote the book Watchtower and Masons. I would talk with John Warren and Dwayne Mignani, and they were the ones that called my attention to that. And then I don't know where all I verified that with, but I've known that for 35, 40 years. It's been a long time since I realized that. And yeah, and she wrote a large share of what he put out as his. If you go in and look at those early Watchtower magazines, you can see that they were preaching socialism. That you can see in the things that she wrote that she not only was a socialist, she preached it.
Well, yeah, no, I have heard the socialist connection, but another thing that caught my fancy as I was reviewing your book, and I'm working on the forward now for it. But on page 186, you deal with the occult and mind control, and occultism, from what you write, utilizes this ultra mind control. Now, you don't call it ultra there. You call it, I forget the term you used, but it's a super mind control. And you're claiming that Michael Jackson, of course, we understand and know he was one of Jehovah's Witnesses at one time. And he was under this occultic mind control, as you mentioned in the book. And, when he died, I didn't realize it, but you published in your book that he was 500 million in debt. I did hear he was in debt, but I didn't hear 500 million. And you say that, we mentioned trauma-based mind control numerous times here on the 6 screens, people calling in and use that term. But the term you are using is saying this mind control that the occult uses is a million times stronger than the term mind control as we know it. So you do stand on that ground. I mean, how is it? I mean, it's that far advanced, and I'm sure you've done a lot of research looking into it, but they must do things that modern man can't even figure out. Would that be true?
Yeah, that would be true. I dealt with this firsthand. So not only did I expose the Illuminati, but I was trying to help members of the Illuminati get out of it. And they had all been subjected to trauma-based mind control. And so in the School of Hard Knocks, I learned what this was and what would work and what wouldn't work. And I wrote 3 books, 2 of them very massive, about this trauma-based mind control. And what I did is if somebody told you that there are airplanes and you had never seen an airplane, how do you get someone to believe that there's an airplane? Well, what I did is I basically showed how all the parts of this and how each of those parts are created. I mean, a massive work that just exposes the whole thing and how it's done and what the codes are and everything. It's just massive. But to try to get these people free is something else. And so the second book, or actually the third book, Deeper Insights, the first half of Deeper Insights is more about how the control comes about, but the second half are I get into all of the therapeutic issues and how to deal with it. And that's really where people should start. I'm getting like, and looking at the email for, you sent me the link. Well, someone just this afternoon sent me an email saying, I was in the Illuminati. I had all this done to me, and they're wanting me to help them. And I'm not in a position to help these people. Sorry, we got some kind of emergency vehicle going on here. You're probably hearing that through the.
Yeah, not a problem. We hear it all the time, but don't you worry. That's fine. It'll pass by. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, it was fascinating to me. Now also, I wanted to bring up, because I'll tell you, people bringing up a lot here about this mind control. We all try to figure out how they do it. But, you do, and I want to thank you for mentioning the 6 screens in your book, too. I was flattered with that. I really thought that was interesting. Now, you mentioned the 6 screens program where we had a woman on here, I would say probably 8-10 years ago. In fact, maybe a little longer, maybe 12 years. Her name was Adele Fours. Now, evidently, you must have heard that conversation we had when she came on. But Adele Fours wrote a book, and she wrote a book all about her trek in the Watchtower, how she was really abused sexually, how she was involved with the Hell's Angels as she grew up. She ran away from the witness world, so to speak, and she had multiple personalities. And what do they call that? Fritz? Associative disorder or something like that?
They call it DID now, dissociative identity disorder, and they started that. I think, but this is just my opinion. I think that they did that to throw people off from researching it, because there have been things written about multiple personality disorder during the entire history of this country. I have a bibliography, and material on multiple personalities goes way back to when this country was being founded. And by changing the name of it, now all of the sites that you would go to find information now are under dissociative identity disorder. And to me, that that's not as descriptive. And some therapists say, oh, that's more descriptive because you're dealing with dissociation, which you're dealing with, and it is an identity disorder. That's true. But for the common layperson, it makes a lot more sense to call it multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, in fact, when she came on, I invited her to come on the program, and Adele came on, and she told the audience right up front, she says, now, Rick, I have 13, I believe it was 13 personalities. And she says they come up from time to time. They kind of creep into my conversation. And so if something happens here tonight, I want you to know what's happening. And, I didn't really think anything was going to happen. But she said that one of her personalities was a young boy named Billy. And so sure enough, during the conversation she had, all of a sudden Billy came out. And Billy made himself manifest, and she was talking like a little boy. And I found that very, very fascinating. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up in the book, and you were mentioning that, people have a lot of trauma in their life, and this is when the people step in, the powers to be, to use mind control on them. So usually if a person has been raped, usually if a person has been, subject of pedophilia or maybe some other trauma in their life, that this is a chance for the mind control people, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, would come in and enter a person. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can take hold of a person when they're an adult and use a form of mind control like what we're talking about. Generally, they start this when the child is 18 months. So they raise them in this mind control. But yeah, they also take advantage of people when they're adults too.
See, what we do here at the Six Screens, and we said it right at the very inception, going back 20 years ago, is that we want to hear everything there is in the Watchtower, from satanic ritual abuse to the Illuminati to subliminal imagery to all the false prophecies. We want to hear it all. And we go where others won't go. And sometimes we get criticized for it. But I know there's even people that criticize you, Fritz. They do. And we had a man on earlier, Derek Barefoot, the Hour of Darkness. They criticize him. But what we try to do here is give everyone an open mind. And you don't have to believe everything. But I believe that if you listen to Fritz and you read his books, you're going to find out that, there is the powers to be. And we've had other people on the Six Screens too that have had programs of this nature. And why is it that people have a hard time believing that there's a manipulative force out there of people that would want to take over total control? Well, why is it, Fritz, people have a hard time believing that?
Well, for starters, the Illuminati are extremely, I'm going to call it intelligent. And right now, they're using a lot of AI to do a lot of their planning. So what they do is they operate outside the box. If this is the box of people's normal everyday beliefs, they operate outside of that. And so it's very hard for people to move their mind outside of their little box of understanding. And that's one way they get away with so much, is it's just so incredible. It's hard for someone to believe that a mother might do something to her children. It's hard to believe that someone wouldn't you know it would happen.
Well, that's okay. Just don't you worry about it. We've had it happen before. It'll go away here. That's okay. Don't you worry. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, like someone who's a pillar of society, someone who's very famous on television and so forth like this. It's hard for a lot of people to wrap their minds around that there might be a hidden side to this person, that he isn't all that comes across. And I'm not going to mention a particular person's name, but he was very famous and has a very good reputation in the world. And I connected him to being a handler for the mind control, and that he was his actual real life, who he was in real life, not on the stage, was something totally different. And it's interesting, someone who knew who he really was, that had been around him, not how he appeared on television, but someone who really knew him. They made a long trip to and found out where I lived and came and thanked me for exposing this person, because they knew the reality. But if all you go is what you see on television, it may be hard for you to wrap your mind around what some of these people are actually doing.
Well, too, what it is, Fritz, well, what really happens in the real world is, we all get up, we go to work, we sometimes don't think about this. And when someone brings it to our attention, some people can go over the deep edge with it. That can happen very, very easily. It's really nothing we can do. There's nothing Fritz Springmeier or I can do. We can expose them, but there's nothing we can do to really stop the powers to be. And what got my attention too, so specifically on the chapter concerning mind control, is you did mention here that Nathan Knorr and Rutherford, now these were presidents of the Watchtower. Now you did mention that they were programmed, unless I have it wrong, they were programmed to have multiple personalities. How would you reword that?
Well, Nathan Knorr, some of the things that he did are very suspicious. So there's different levels of what I know about certain people. Some people I can connect all the dots, and I can, I can see them, I can watch them, I can listen to them, and yes, I know what this person's about. I'll give you an example. There's someone here in the area that I live in, and I went and listened to a sermon this guy gave, and he was using mind control triggers. He was using programming in his sermon. Well, and then there's a lot other things about him. Well, I know what he's all about, you know. But someone who I didn't watch in person and hear them do things like this and see them do the kind of things he did, I would be getting information maybe secondhand, and it would leave me with some doubt. Am I putting the clues together correctly, or am I going too far with these clues? So there's different levels of my understanding. I don't know as a fact that Nathan Knorr was programmed, but I think that from what I can see, that he definitely should be considered a prime candidate for that.
Well, no doubt about that. And also, what caught my attention as well in your book, of course, we know the Watchtower, they're hypocrites. They don't practice what they preach. They want everybody else to do something, but they don't do it. But you brought up the fact that I don't have the page in front of me, but you brought up the fact that Russell condemned insurance. And we would tell people, well, why would you go out and get insurance when the system's ending and it's just a waste of money and all of this? I guess he was primarily thinking about life insurance here, so he was more or less telling people don't do that. But yet at the same time, I believe it was mentioned that he had all kinds of insurance policies. So
And gold mines and lots of wealth. Yeah.
yeah. And yet at the same time, they tell everybody else not to do this, but they're doing it. They're telling people even to this day, don't even look for all the accoutrements in this world. And they use the example of why would you rearrange the furniture on the Titanic? It's going down. But, they're telling people they don't want people to go out and do better in life. They don't want people to go out and buy a new house or get a better career or even buy a new car. They don't care for that. They would rather just have you be a poor old country bumpkin and not have anything to do at all with anything. But yet at the same time, they're going out and doing all this stuff. They're buying real estate up. They're buying lands up. They're selling Kingdom Halls off. They're doing all of this, but they're telling the rank and file, hold back now. Jehovah's Day is around the corner. It's pretty pathetic, isn't it, Fritz?
Oh yeah, and they've been doing this their entire history. They've been double-minded this way. So they're telling people don't spend money on your children going to college, but then they're trying to get all the money they can out of each Jehovah's Witness. It's like one of the reasons I mean, there's probably a number of reasons that they don't want young people to go to college. One thing is they might lose some of them. And the same thing happens for Christianity. My mother was really strong Christian, and when she went to school, it was totally different back then. So when she was in high school, she led the school over the loudspeaker in a prayer. But then when she went to college, they told her, sophisticated people don't believe in all that superstitious stuff, and they took her faith away. And so yeah, it's college is kind of dicey. If somebody isn't well grounded, they can be moved to throw away their faith in Christ. And so there is some danger there, but I think that part of it is they just don't want people spending the money on college educations. They'd rather it be spent on them. And they're still trying to extract all the money they can from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's one thing I bring out in the book, as you know, is the leadership. I'm talking about, the leadership of these kingdom halls, how prevalent it's been that they have scammed people out of their money, their life savings, and they usually prey on members within the congregation.
Well, you got me thinking as you're talking about they don't want you to spend any money at all. And 2 years ago, we did a segment here on the 6 screens. There was a Watchtower article on pets, and it kind of condemned the thought of having a pet. And it was talking about, why would you want a pet? I'm saying, why is the Watchtower, picking on pets? I mean, we love dogs. We love to have little pets. So here the watch, they pick on everything that brings some form of entertainment or some happiness to people. They want to destroy all the happiness. But now I understand it. What we have today is pets to many people, Fritz, are like their children. People aren't having children and they're having pets. And I see it. I go into stores and I see people with their dogs, and they're not even service dogs. I go in Home Depot and I go in the Market Basket to buy food, and I see dogs in there. And I'm going, this is strange. They never did that before. But people really love their pets. So I had a friend the other day, and he worked with me for me at my shop in Lowell, Mass up here. And he said he had to take the afternoon off because his friend has a dog that's dying. So he was pretty upset about it. So I said, well, go be with your friend. That'll be okay. So I said, go ahead, but come in tomorrow if all goes well. So we went, and I called him the next day. I said, did the dog die? Because his friend said he had to take the dog to the vet because it was going to die. So I called him. I said, did the dog die? He says, yeah, he died. But they did all kinds of blood tests on him. They did all kinds of medical work, as a veterinarian would do, and they charged $1,400 for that. And then they're going to cremate the dog. It's going to be $175 more. So, they're up to, $1,700. So I guess the Watchtower is kind of like ahead of its time. They know that people are spending a lot of money on pets today, and don't do it, save it so you can give it to us, right? That's what I'm thinking.
I was also thinking earlier today, what this country was founded on was the idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I thought to myself, yeah, if you really understand the Watchtower Society, they are against all of that. They don't want you to have the pursuit of happiness. They don't want liberty. They don't want you going outside of their little world that they've created for you. And although some people don't realize it, they are actually against life too. I mean, your child needs a blood transfusion to stay alive, and that child means something to you, but you gotta pull the plug on the child and not save his life with the blood transfusion. There's other ways that they're against life too. Plus, if you understand that their doctrine is all goobered up, that they're really, which if Jehovah's Witnesses are listening to this, they're going to take issue with that because they think that the Watchtower Society's got all these great doctrines. But once they break free of the mind control and they start actually digging into these things, they will find that the Watchtower Society has lied to them in many ways. And it's just like the name Jehovah. You know, why can't they progress to the word Yahweh or Yahuwah, which Yahuwah or Yahweh is a lot more closer to what was said than Jehovah. Jehovah is a made up name that's part of magic, and I get into that in the book where the name Jehovah comes from. It's the most valuable magical word. It's used in a lot of magic rituals. So
Yeah,
that's why it's so important to
and the Watchtower thinks they have a patent on it. They think they own. They do. They think they own.
them.
Hey, listen, can we bring some people in and say hello to you?
Sure.
All right. Hey, listen, Fritz Springmeier. You know him. He wrote the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. He's on with us here tonight. So why don't we come on right now? I believe we have, is it 513? Is that it, the area code? Am I reading that right? 513. Who would like to say hello to Fritz? Boy, he's got a wealth of information. Have you read his book? Have you thought about
How are you, Fritz?
who's this?
I'll talk to Fritz for a second.
Okay, go ahead, King of Dots. Go ahead. Yep.
And I want to say, this is one of my biggest issues, what he just said. On page 23 of the Kingdom of Linear, it says very clearly that while Yahweh is probably the closest pronunciation of what God's name is, we're going to use Jehovah because more people know that worldwide. What sense does that make? I thought you believed in new life, the truth. You claim to be the truth. You know the truth, but you're not going to preach the truth. And I feel that God punked them because the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in late 40s, 48, I believe. And there's where they found out it's most likely Yahweh. But they'd already decided 20 years earlier to hitch their wagon to one name, Jehovah. Fritz,
Yeah, when I was attending the Kingdom Hall back, which would have been in 1980, or maybe it was 1979, right in that time period, 1980 maybe, there was a magazine article that came out that went into depth about how Jehovah was the least likeliest of the pronunciations, but then they covered up the whole thing by saying, well, this person says it's this person says it's that. Since we can't figure out which one of these scholars is right, we're just going to go with Jehovah. So clear back then.
Could you get on the platform and use the name Yahweh without getting disciplined?
You're asking, can you get up there and say the word Yahweh without getting disciplined?
Yeah, I'm asking. Could you get on the platform and use the name Yahweh without being taken off, not getting any more talks?
And I don't believe so.
That's what
Not
I'm talking
from what I've
about.
seen.
That's how extreme they were. Even though they knew something was true. I remember my last talk I did was just number 4 because I've been so restricted. I took the Green Bible up from the 1970s, and I got counseled for reading out of the Green Bible. It's like, what is going on here? You remember the Green Bible?
Oh yeah, that was the one that they used when I attended.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
They're pretty much literally being counseled for using that Green Bible on the platform.
Yeah.
But I was kind of making a point. Let's get back to what you used to believe, because you keep changing everything all the time. But it got to the point where it was pure absurdity. I mean, they're not really into new life. They're just into controlling the narrative. We've got the truth, and this is what it is, and it's never changed. But it does change. All the little bitty stuff in between changes, you know?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my thought, Rich. But I want to ask Rick a favor. Rick,
Yes.
are you still there, Rick?
I'm here. Yep.
I'm not going to do anything this week, but I wrote a poem, a bedtime poem for the drunken Bathelites, and I'm hoping to do it next week on your show, okay? Do I have your permission?
You can do a poem all about the drunken Bethelites. Would love to hear that. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to do it next week. And my wife heard the poem, and she started crying. So I'm not trying to make people cry, okay? Then I realized that I showed it to another person, and they said, I don't know who you're talking about there. And I allude to Gulliver's Travels a little bit. So next week I would do that, Rick, but not tonight because I think the drunken Bethelites had probably passed out by now.
Oh, you got that one right. Well, thank you, King of Dots. Always good to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Let's go to 831. 831, you're on with us.
Meyer, I forgot your first name. I just want to thank you. We've missed you. And you always bring up good stuff. I came up in at reality is the limits of one's capacity to believe. To a person that can't see past something, to them it's crazy, you're weird, you're a theorist or whatever. But I like the way you speak the truth because I've done enough research and had enough experience to be able to inwardly and validate everything you say. Thank you for coming on.
So if people will look at my books and read them, you'll see that they're heavily documented. And in a lot of ways, I lived some of this because I have met people that were in the Illuminati, met people that were getting out or helped people get out of the Illuminati. I've met a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, been around a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses. So a lot of what I write about is firsthand. I'm just not making this stuff up, and it's heavily documented. And that's one reason why I'm not quite finished with my latest book is the book's finished, but I'm trying to finish the index because when I put in indexes in my book, they're comprehensive so that people can find everything that's in there.
Let's go to 602. 602, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, this is Gigi.
Hi, Gigi.
I just wanted, I wanted to, in the previous interview that you had with that caller, I just wanted to take it a little different, I didn't believe what he said when he talked about how the people in the governing body or the people who have high positions, how is it that they do not know who is responsible for those images? Now, we've all seen The Apprentice, right, where Donald Trump said, you're fired. I mean, when an employee does that in any corporation and say nobody wants to give out who's doing it, Steve Jobs from Apple just fired the whole department because you're all fired, every single last one of you, gone. And so the reason Watchtower keeps putting out those demonic images is because it is being sanctioned by the governing body. There's just no way.
Can we come closer to your phone, Gilbert? We're having a hard time hearing you. Can you come a little closer?
Yeah. So I don't see how any leader of a corporation, any corporation, would allow such a thing to happen, and then just brush it off like, well, this is not, this is an isolated incident. How people would not be fired in that department? So right. I agree with your host, your guest said everything. I
have never taken the stance that I've never taken the stance that the governing body didn't know about these things. Derek Barefoot came out with this. Pardon me?
I think what Gilbert's saying is the man that was on earlier, Derek Barefoot. I think he's referring to the author of the book, Doctor, the Hour of Darkness. Yeah.
Yeah, Derek Barefoot doesn't have the bigger picture.
Correct. And
Yeah.
Fritz Springmeier, he is onto something, because at that time, with Maria Frances Ackley, Russell's wife, they were. You have to understand why they were communists, because that's when everything was happening. Naturally, communism took its center stage in 18 during the First World War, but the work was being done way before. So before the 1900s, in the 1850s, 60s, with Darwin and everything, there was a movement of people. And that's where the communist movement was born. So it makes absolute sense that these people were colluding, and all the evidence points to it. But they all come from the same generation. I hate to use that word, no pun intended, but they're from that generation of people that were playing with the idea of communism.
There's a book, Occult Theocracy, by Edith Starr Miller, and they give her a pen name, Lady Queensborough. And she died, and they published the book posthumously. And if you get a hold of that book, you'll see how she ties lots of these organizations together, because they are. And then I've written articles that tie a lot of these people together. There's a place, Ascona, Switzerland, which is real close to Italy. And a lot of important world leaders quietly gathered there at this OTO, Theosophical Society, get together. And another article that I had showed how a lot of these important people lived in the same area in Vienna. And so when you start seeing these kind of things, you realize that there's a lot more connections than what people would realize just reading history.
And the last thing I was going to tell you, Fritz, is that the one thing they have in common is the Watchtower is still a society. They're a secret society, and all of them have the same similarities. Now, right now in 2025, there's a different movement. It's not a communist movement; it's a nationalist movement, and Donald Trump is on it. Maria Le Pen, Bukele, and all those people in South America. So, but the difference is when you actually love your country and you love God, you love Jesus, you don't do things in secret societies, in secret meetings. And the Watchtower, everything they do is in secret. And you cannot separate those two things. They're a secret society. They even call themselves a society. They don't even call themselves a church. They call themselves an organization. And the United Nations is run by, they have a whole bunch of NGOs, non-government organizations. So I agree with the research part. I'm just saying, when Jesus said, pay attention to how you listen, if you just listen to how they operate and look at how they operate, you don't have to go to the library and do a lot of work. You know these are bad people. Anytime people try to put you in secret rooms, do secret teaching, secret deals, it's a recipe of the devil. I mean, it's demonic.
Yeah. There's a kernel of truth in what you're saying. There was a man, and he was interested in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And so he decided to go to a Kingdom Hall. And as he approached the Kingdom Hall, he realized there's no windows on this thing. It's all fake windows. You can't see in or out. And he turned around and left. He goes, I'm not going to join some organization that doesn't even have windows on their church. So yeah, he was very wise. He was like,
I'll say this when I go. You have to remember the great George Norrie, late night radio, coast to coast. And I always quote him, and I put the picture of him. He says, there are no such things as coincidence. What you just said, that's not a coincidence. Maybe one Kingdom Hall, maybe two, but all of them, there's no such thing. And when I thought, when I was young, that was stupid. I thought, what a retarded thing to say. But as I get older, I realize that when you insist on calling yourself a society, when you insist on being an organization, when you insist on using the New World Translation or the System of Things in your Bible. These things cannot be coincidental. Maybe one, maybe two. So a lot of times we have to just trust the hairs on your arm. You have to trust the gut. It's telling you something. God gave you a gut. He gave you instinct. And you have to tune into that. And you'll be able to see. You don't have to know all of the details of Watchtower. You just know that they're not going to a good place. This is not.
The Watchtower.
Yeah, but once somebody's been sucked in, you need to give them hardcore facts to pull them out, because they're not going to listen to their intuition anymore.
Well, we do have some other callers on here. Let's go with hold on one second, sir. We have someone before you, and then you come in after them. We do have another caller on here right now. Hold on. Let me bring them in 1 second. I believe it's 623. 623, do you want to speak up?
Yes. Thank you for having Fritz Springmeier on your show again. I've been looking forward to him being on your show. And Fritz, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it to the convention. I would like to, but I do want to buy your book, even if it comes out before the convention. And is it possible that I could get it autographed?
Sure. No problem.
Okay.
Why do I seem to recognize
autograph? But I would like. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do I know you? Your voice sounds familiar. Are you someone in Texas? Pardon me?
No, I'm in Arizona.
Okay.
I'm in Arizona.
Your voice sounded so similar to someone I knew.
Oh, okay. But I would be interested in getting an autographed copy of your book, and hopefully it'll be out before the convention.
Great. Thank you.
So,
yes.
However way you could let us know, I would like to get an autographed copy of your book, because I really like that bloodline of the Illuminati, and that I just got the PDF copy, but I do want to get this next book that you are working on.
Well, I'll tell you what. If it does,
that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I was thinking, Fritz, if it's not done before that, maybe we can get her a copy at the convention. We'll mail it out to her, autographed. Okay? Because I'm sure you'll be autographing books there. You're going to be a very important person at the convention, Fritz. Yeah, you're going to be.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it.
Well, if you can't, we'd love.
But I'm not sure yet.
Well, we'd love to have you if you can make it. But if not, we will be doing it on the internet. We're projecting a whole lot of people coming in, so it will be all live streamed as well. Yep. So that'll be good, sister. Well, thank you for calling in.
All right. Well, thanks, then.
All right. Let's go to 3.
Bye.
Let's go to 3. Let's go with 3. Is it 330? Yeah, I think it's 330. 330. What do you have to say? Go ahead.
Elder. Okay, I was thinking that I just wanted to say one thing. I was thinking at the Watchtower, what they need was a name to identify God with, so that they can attach themselves to it and they can actually replace it and become that name. See, the Trinity was there to protect the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Without one, it's like a three-legged chair. It flops right over. See, so whoever put the concept of the Trinity together, which is probably God, it was to make it so that you couldn't remove one. You have to have all three. Well, here they need to identify. They need to make one of those legs more important than all the rest and attach themselves to it. So little by little, as you learn their doctrine, they're Jehovah. If you just look at everything that they say, they're really relating themselves as Jehovah. The society, they are the spoken word. They are it. So they try to remove Jesus. That's why they won't mention him too much.
they try to get him out of the picture because it's the Trinity, man. That's the way I look at it.
Well,
They're all over the place. So they say that the governing body will say that they're not inspired, and then turn around and say it was the Holy Spirit that told us that men could now have beards. I mean, they're kind of all over the place. And Rutherford was all over the place. He was saying that fallen angels were bringing him the messages that he delivered, and angels can't work out their salvation. He was saying that these angels are working out, these evil angels, fallen angels, are working out their salvation by helping God, by bringing messages, and that's not biblical. So right there, he was telling us where he was getting his messages. It was from fallen angels.
Well, I'll tell you what, no, that's a good thought. In fact, what the caller was saying too is that when you think of Watchtower, it's synonymous with God, Jehovah. That's what we now understand, that Watchtower is synonymous with Jehovah. They are Jehovah. At least that's the portrayal that they put forth. Well, Fritz, we're going to have to end it here, but I'm so glad you could come on. Now, we know Fritz wrote the book. If you want the book, go to Amazon, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. It's right there, and get the book. If you can, come to the convention. We will have Fritz there with the books. He'll autograph them. We're looking forward to Fritz coming up and his family. Fritz, thank you for coming on tonight. I'll be in touch with you.
Okay. Do we have time for me to give my address if they want to order
Of course.
the book directly
Of
from
course. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Fritz Springmeier, P.O. Box 1274, Cimarron, which is spelled capital Cimarron, Kansas, and the zip code is 67835. You can order the book from me, and yeah, thank you, Rick, for having me on, and thanks to all the listeners. I enjoyed visiting with y'all.
Yeah, what I'll do, if you don't mind, if I could give them your email, if they write me for the book, if they didn't get that address, would you mind if I gave them your email? Then they could contact you and you could discuss things with them. Okay?
Great. Thanks,
Okay.
Rick.
You're a good man, Fritz. Don't you ever change. We love you, buddy. Thank you. All right. Well, that's our good friend, Fritz Springmeier. Don't go anywhere. You're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. Well, we were just talking about the convention. We're going to have Fritz there. We're going to get Derek Barefoot. He was on earlier. He wrote The Hour of Darkness, all about the subliminal images. We got Barbara Anderson coming. We've got a number of good high-profile people, perhaps even someone from the Zalkin law firm, I should say. So that could happen as well. So anyways, let's talk again what's going on here. Let me take a sip of ginger ale. Boy, I'll tell you, it was so good to have Fritz on with us, right? And Derek, boy, I'll tell you, that was really wonderful. Friends, here at the Six Screens, we go where nobody else goes. Some of the stuff that we bring up isn't in everyone's camp. Some people say, I don't believe that. I don't believe in Illuminati. I don't believe in subliminal imagery. Well, we want to hear it all. We're not saying you have to believe it, but we want to hear everything that goes on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So that's why we do it. And we're glad to have these people come on and tell us what's been happening. Let me take a sip of ginger ale here. Okay, so let's go back here now. Excuse me. Let's go back here and see what we're talking about. Well, tonight, the memorial. Tonight, April 12th at sundown. The Jehovah's Witnesses had the biggest event of the year, the memorial. Now, I'm going to be watching this one very closely. They've got to get some good numbers. They've got to hit the ball out of the park. Of course, we know they cook the books anyways. But have you got an invitation to Jesus' death party? That's what I call it. Jesus' death party. Did you get an invitation to the memorial this year? They have been going out of their way to make sure everyone got an invitation. As a matter of fact, I'm getting people writing me here to 6 screens, and people. I had one woman, in fact, I got information from a few days ago, and she's been out for 25 years, and they sent her an invitation. In fact, the elder called her on the phone and said, "Can you come to the memorial?" I mean, after 25 years of not going. So they're doing everything they can to get everybody to go to the memorial. Like I say, they gotta hit it out of the park. They had, I believe it was it 20 million last year? They got to get that number way up. They really do. So they've been even asking, from what I understand, disfellowship people, disassociated people, everybody they can to come to the memorial. Now, I didn't get a personal invite this year, but I did get them in the past. I got one last year. Didn't get one this year. And no matter where you live, they're gonna try to invite you to the memorial. They have campaigns where they do this, but I don't really call it the memorial. I call it a black mass. Yeah, now that is a satanic ritual. And we talked about it before. You've heard it before on YouTube and all over. But a satanic mass. And, I got looking into what a real satanic mass is and how they do a very similar thing like the Watchtower does. They reject the bread and the wine. Now, in a real satanic mass, what the Satanists do, and they love to break into a Catholic church a few days before the mass, and they for some reason it's better if they get it from a church rather than buy it in a store. So they'll go and they'll steal the wine and the bread from the Catholic church, and then the Satanists will take it back to wherever they're going to have their little meeting, and they do this satanic mass, and they pass around the blood, and they pass around the wine, I should say, representing the blood, and then they pass around the bread. And what they do is they pass it to the first Satanist. He takes a little bit of the wine, and he pours it on the floor, and then they step on it and stomp it. And then they pass it around. Each person does that in the Satanist religion. And then what they do is they pass the bread. And then they do the same thing. The Satanist throws it on the floor, and then they stomp on it. And that's what they do. And they reject the blood and the bread of Jesus. Well, it's the same thing in the witness world. Of course, they don't go that far, but they pass it on, right? When you're a witness or we're a witness, that's what they're doing tonight. No one really takes it. There's very few that take it. But that's what I would say is very similar to what the Satanists do. So it's just amazing to me to watch all the people go to this memorial, and none of those people really partake of the blood covenant. So it's really something when you stop and think about it. And there's an article I'm going to read you later in the Watchtower that actually suggests that if you don't come to the memorial, this is how sacred they teach this. If you don't come to the memorial, you will die. Can you believe that? In fact, in the article, they actually say that if you avoid the memorial, you will face a fate worse than death. We have someone evidently that wants to come on. So you want to come on right now? Is that 603? Go ahead. I guess not. Okay.
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mark. Yes, Mark.
Good, Rick. Yeah, Rick. Hey, you got a great show going tonight, and you're doing a great job. And yes, I do agree with you. The memorial is like a black mass. You're right, a total black mass, and it's a joke. It's horrible, and I never liked the memorial at all, ever. I never liked going. It was just a major waste of time. My mother did want me to go to the memorial. I told her forget it, and she felt I was being very lazy about it. That's why I wouldn't go, because I'm being very lazy. That's not the truth. The truth, I want nothing to do with their stupid memorial and the way they specifically reject Jesus Christ, which they do. They reject Jesus Christ at the memorial. They're not exactly celebrating the right way at all. So that's good job, Rick. You're right on there. It's very along the lines of the way the Satanists do it in some ways, right?
Yeah, you got it. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for coming in. Thank you very much.
For sure.
All right. So, anyways,
Okay, well, I'm sorry I'm much time tonight, but thank you, Rick. Thank you very much.
well,
Yeah.
appreciate it. So, anyways, you're probably saying, Rick, come on, you're exaggerating. Would the Watchtower really say that if you don't go to the memorial, you could face death? Worse than death? Yes, they did. The 1972 Watchtower, page 15. No, in fact, it's 1972 Watchtower. It would be March 15th, page 167. It says, therefore, anyone deliberately staying away from this celebration, the memorial, does well to consider this question. If willful disregard of the ancient Passover was punishable by death, would not a more severe punishment be meted out to one who spurns the Lord's evening meal, trampling on the provision represented by the bread and wine? Well, they're already trampling on the provision by not partaking. So they invite all these people, and they're saying, if you don't come, it could be, well, they're likening it to the ancient Passover, where it was punishable by death. But, to put that feeling of I'm going to die if I don't go to the memorial, that is just over the top. I mean, can you imagine that's a guilt trip on the witnesses? And, this idea of a respectful observer. So they always say, well, those that come that don't partake, they call those ones respectful observers. Now, there's a funny thing, as I went back and did a little research on the Passover. The funny thing is that the Watchtower constantly compares the memorial to the Passover. However, if you look at Exodus, there's absolutely no requirements for those not in the covenant with the Israelites to observe it. There's no such thing as a respectful observer. So, the Watchtower always compares the memorial to a Passover, but there was no such thing. If you weren't an Israelite, you didn't go to the Passover, period. I mean, you could go, but, you really didn't observe. I mean, you weren't there as a respectful observer. So there's absolutely no requirements for those not in the covenant to observe. And, what really gets me with this memorial celebration, too, is they call it a celebration. And I got thinking of that term. Usually when you think of something as a celebration, you think of it as being a joyous event. You think of it being, wow, this is wonderful, I'm here. But it's just another boring meeting. And really, who celebrates the death of someone? When you go to a funeral of a person, are you actually there celebrating his death? Oh, yippee-yi-yay, the man died. You don't do that. I mean, it's not an appropriate word to celebrate the death. It's really not. As a matter of fact, you might say, oh, wait a minute, Rick. The Christians celebrate, they have Easter. Well, that's dealing with resurrection. They're dealing with Jesus coming back to life after he died, but they're not celebrating his death. It's really something else that the Watchtower can pull us off and get away with it. Friends, this is a very spiritually lack religion. It doesn't have biblical sense. It's nonsense. And, I'm thinking they're really getting desperate trying to get people to come to the memorial. They're getting desperate. They might as well just come out and say, why don't you attend the memorial or you're going to die? I mean, maybe next year they'll have an invitation printed that way. Who knows? They might even have an invitation to the memorial that says, come to the invitation. I mean, come to the memorial or send me an invitation to your funeral. I mean, that could also be the case. So the Watchtower is really going out all over this year, excuse me, to get people to come to the convention. Now, well, what I'm thinking, I've been protesting. I'm not protesting tonight. I got people asking me today, are you going to be protesting at the convention, Rick? No, we're not protesting this year. We have a lot on our plate here with the convention coming up. And of course, it fell on a Saturday night when we do the radio and our broadcast here on YouTube. So we're not protesting. But, I'm going to go back. We've been doing this for 18 years. And I'm going to go back and we're going to share a file with you. of me protesting and some of the 6 Screens protest teams. Let's see if we can't find that clip right now and see if we can't. Let's see. Why is that not coming up? Hold on one second. Let's cancel that. Let's share a screen here. I want to go back and share one of our YouTubes of us protesting. So let's go to our video, share a screen, and let's see where it is. Wow, where is it? Here's everything. Huh. Well, it's not here. I had it all set and it's not here. But anyways, we go back.
Rick, can I
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is the Watchtower doubling down like a gambler who has a lot of losses at the table. I've never gambled in my life. I'm one of those people. I haven't even bought a lottery ticket, okay? I was Catholic, but that doesn't mean I'm an automatic gambler, by the way. But they're just doubling down with this intimidation technique. But one of the problems I had with the memorial wasn't that like the Last Supper. Didn't they? If it was the what do you call it? Oh man, they had the lamb, didn't they? The Passover, they had the lamb and the bitter herbs and the wine and the bread. I mean, why did you have the lamb there too? And the bitter herbs. I mean, so just because they weren't used as emblems doesn't mean they weren't there. I mean, I'm just because it was all there. It's not even shown in the Last Supper by Da Vinci, by the way, but it was the Passover. I mean, we've got so much disinformation going on here, and the Watchtower just rolls with it, man. It rolls right over you with it. And besides that, I think Jesus did quite a few illustrations of hospitality. Do you invite someone to a meal and don't feed them? Don't let them have anything to drink? I mean, that is not anyone in the Middle East would ever do that. And that's exactly what they're doing. Everything is antithetical to reality in their, whatever they call it, their debauchery mill. The debauchery mill is what I'm calling it. And I'm not going to, did you pull up your stuff yet, Rick? Because my tablet, I can't see it. I had to charge it up. You totally drained all my electricity tonight, Rick, as usual.
Well,
so were you able to pull it up again?
Well, you must love the program. You're staying right in there watching it, Brian. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do. You're my favorite apostate, and I say that with, like president apostate. You know, now that's in the same word. I mean, I like several other people very much, but again, your show is must-see TV. You know.
Well, thank you.
That's what I feel about it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
it. I know quite a few ex-witnesses, and I constantly encourage them to go on your show. They're afraid. Lots of ex-witnesses are afraid to officially become an apostate by viewing your show. That's how they feel about it. That's what's going on out there, Rick. That's a fact.
Well, the Watchtower does monitor this program. They do monitor it. We have operatives come in from time to time, but they do monitor it. That we know for a fact. Thank you, King of Dots. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, go to bed. Just relax. Go to bed, and we'll hear that poem next week. Did anyone see the June 2025 edition of the study edition of the Watchtower? Man, I'm telling you, the Watchtower is really doing everything they can. That they got to rebrand. I mean, they continue to rebrand, right? Well, they're doing that right now. I was reading the 2025 June edition of the Watchtower, and man, I see some things here that is not passing the smell test. It's really not. What I see in this article in that magazine is the governing body seems to think that the rank and file came up with the year 1914, 1925, and 1975. It seems like they're portraying a similar thing they did back in 1975. Remember when Many people thought, because the Watchtower more or less stated it, that Armageddon was coming in 75, but then they denied it and said that the brothers and sisters were running ahead. Well, that's foolish. Now I'm seeing in this June 2025 edition, study edition of the Watchtower, it seems like they're doing a similar thing. They're making it seem like the rank and file, not them, came up with the year 1914, 25, and 1975. Well, I believe right now the Watchtower is desperately trying to rewrite their history. We have to focus on things that we do know. Things that we do know. And if you're listening to this program, we all learned as Jehovah's Witnesses what the year 1914 was. We learned that that's the year the last days began, right? How many times were we told that that's when the last years began? Now, that was, how many years ago was that? 1914. Let's see, that's 110 years ago. 110 years ago. And that's a failed prophecy. You know, the new system was supposed to be here by then. Yeah.
They forced me to go to that fucking morning show. I don't want to be on that morning show. That morning show is full of a bunch of goddamn degenerates, talk shit, calling him all rat and all this other shit. They're treating you like a fucking...
Yeah, here we go again. They come in, they love to come in.
The conference has been locked.
So we had to lock up the conference, folks. But those drunken Bethelites, they're at it again. I mean, they are Watchtower operatives. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. They don't like this program. I know some of you guys out there say, no, they're not, Rick. They are. We have got word here. I listened closely to what's being said. I've listened back very close. There's a gang of operatives that are trying to disrupt this program. So, you know, we have to lock the call every once in a while. But getting back to 1914, that was 110 years ago. And one of the most misleading statements in Watchtower publications, I'm going to tell you what that misleading statement was, is that the Watchtower, they say they accurately foretold that 1914 was to be the start of the conclusion of this system of things. I mean, that's what we all learned as witnesses, right? That 1914 was the start of the conclusion of system of things. But the Watchtower, well, they're wishy-washy on this. Watchtower falsely predicted 1914 to be the end of the system of things. That's what they would have to be accused of, because in earlier publications, back in the 1800s, they said that 1914 was the end of the system of things. They said in the late 1800s that 1914 was going to usher in paradise earth, or a new world, as we would say. But that was not the case. So they changed it. And I think most of you guys know it. So we all believed it, that 1914, because the Watchtower told us, was the start of the tribulations and the problems that would lead up to the new world coming. But that's not the case. It was supposed to be the end, according to prior Watchtower magazines. You know, it's very interesting to see what they're trying to do this year at the memorial, and they've been doing it right along now for the last 10, 15 years. They're really trying to discourage people from partaking. Now, in the real Christian world, you wouldn't do that. A real Christian would want to encourage people to partake. But in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, they've had articles in Watchtower magazines actually stating how crazy one is because they do partake. They're suffering from emotional imbalance. They're suffering from some type of a mental illness. So, you know, these are things that the Watchtower really should be taken out to the woodshed on. You don't discourage someone from wanting to participate in the covenant of the blood. If a person's a real Christian, they would participate in that. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Iowa, did you want to say something? You're on with us, 712.
Yeah, Rick, I was going to say that with 1975, they always told, this was in the early 80s, they told me that
they were reading in between the lines. I don't know if you heard that, but yeah, that was their excuse for 1975 not being the end and Armageddon coming. And doing my research, they said everything got worse after 1914, and with my research, as far as going all the way back to 1860. You look at the Chinese rebellion, and they were talking about, after 1914, all these people died in World War I. It was like 18 million, which was crazy, terrible. But the Great Chinese Rebellion killed up to 60 million people, And, they also brought out the Spanish plague that come after 1914, that the world got worse after 1914. And, before that, you had the Black Plague, and it kept coming back, and they killed millions of people around the world. And, there's... if a person does their research, can really discount them. And that 1914, 1918, whatever, they're full of shit. They're full of crap. So if you do your research, folks, you'll find out that these people are they're blowing smoke up your butt, and I know they don't hang on to that as much, but they did at one time. And there's a lot of folks out there that still believe all that. But thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Jeff. Thanks for coming in. But I did want to mention on this article here, the June 2025 Watchtower. The title, as I was saying earlier, Modestly Accept What You Do Not Know. And I was going to read a lot to you, but we don't have time because we've got another program coming up. But let me just kind of paraphrase what I got from this Watchtower article entitled, Modestly Accept What You Do Not Know. Well, what they're doing here, as I said at the outset, they're making the rank and file feel like they're the ones that came up with the idea of 1914, 1925, and 1975. That's what they're trying to do, at least in my way of thinking. They're trying to rewrite history, and for the mistakes they made, they're more or less saying that, many of the witnesses did not accept what they do not know. They're more or less saying that you have to have some modesty here. You have to realize that even though you didn't know what year Armageddon was coming, you didn't know what year the Great Tribulation was going to start, you didn't know all of this, but yet take it modestly. Don't run with it and be so haughty. Just understand that you did not know what you were saying. They're saying the rank and file came up with these dates. You know how the Watchtower writes? It's very fallacious and very, very difficult to understand at times. And that's exactly what I got from this article. And I really see the dumbing down.
Sure.
That's what I got from it. Maybe you get something else, but I don't see how I'm misreading this, because some of the things, and what I believe they're doing is that the organization is really trying to dumb down the rank and file and make them think that they're immodest for even wanting answers from the Watchtower. They don't expect us to tell you what dates are going to be working here for the Great Tribulation. Don't expect us to give you dates. We're not. The other ones that are making them up. I see this slowly rolling this out. This is the way they're going to try to get away from these dates. It's articles like this that come out as a response to all the complaints. Right now, there's so many Jehovah's Witnesses that are complaining. They're complaining about their religion. They're complaining, look at you guys said this. I'm getting sick and tired of what you're saying. They're hearing this from the rank and file. So now they're coming out and they're saying things like, be a little more modest about this. Don't be immodest. We're not the ones that are saying this. You kind of thought we were saying it, but we weren't. Friends, it's all about money, as we know. They got to keep as many people. They'll lie. They have to keep as many people in as they possibly can. Who'd like to come on? We do have. It looks like I believe we got Susan. Susan, go ahead. Come on. Hold on 1 second, Susan. Come on, Susan.
Hi, Rick. I remember when the 75 thing came out. I was brand new. I was baptized in September or August or September of 1975. So I don't even think I really heard about the 75 biblical. But one thing they did stress was that Adam was now 6,000 years old, or it had been 6,000 years since Adam was created. That I know they said. And a lot of times they fell back on that. And 75 proved to be not what they were, hyping it up to be. Then they would say, well, Adam was around for 6,000 years, and that's what 1975 was really all about. Do you remember them saying that, Rick?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. They said so many things, Susan, to try to get away from them saying it. They're tricky. They're sneaky.
And people fell for it. I fell for it.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. Well, and I knew nothing about 75 until years later. But I just believe 1975 was the year that Adam was 6,000 years old. That's it. And they tended to fall back on that.
Yeah, well, they're implying in this June Watchtower, they're implying that stay modest and accept what you do not know. So they're saying, don't accept the fact that, these years that you say we mentioned really came from us. Basically, it came from you. They're slowly going to bring this about. I think this is how they're going to get away from those years. I mean, I just said earlier, 1914 was 110 years ago. That they can't keep carrying this 1914 on. They can't. They got to get away from all of this. They got to get away from all of the information people are spreading about 1975 and how wrong they were. So now they got to kind of say, okay, be modest now. Don't accept what you do not know. You didn't know these years were going to be important years. Well, who told them it was going to be? The Watchtower. Go ahead.
That's when mind control is so important. That's when mind control is so important to them.
Yeah.
Because they have to begin to control your mind again and get your mind off of 1975 and 1914. And maybe this child molestation is just a way of getting people's minds off of other things that I don't know what they're doing. They're in a really bad shape, but they're just really trying to change things around so that people are confused, and all they know is if they don't believe what Jehovah's Witnesses teach, they're not going to live forever.
Susan, you're right. Hold on 1 second. I'm just getting, this is Eric on the phone. Eric, you're on. We're on live here. What would you like, Eric? Okay, good. Well, we'll do that. We'll do that right away. Thank you. Yep. We'll do that. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Eric. We'll see you in a while. Yeah, Eric's just saying that we do have a witness. Excuse me, Susan. We do have a witness out in California in the memorial right now. If I do send him a link, that he will be able to live stream it, and we can see inside the memorial. So let's see what happens there. We'll try to do that. In the meantime, let's see. We do have another caller who wants to come in. Go ahead. You're next with us. It's 4-4. I believe you're coming from the UK. Go ahead.
Hello, Rick. Is that me?
Who's this?
My name's Michael Maloney. And I just thought that you'd like to know that in my friends or congregation, there were 9 people present at the memorial stroke Black Mass. What do you think of that?
Oh, yeah, we're having a hard time. I understand you. Go ahead, slow down, say it again.
Okay, Rick, I beg your pardon. In my friends or congregation, there were 9 present, 9 people present at the memorial stroke Black Mass. Because I agree with you entirely. I'd call it a Black Mass too. Anyway, what do you think of that? That's good news, right?
Yeah, well, it's very much like the Black Mass. You're absolutely right with that, brother. Yeah, thank you, though, for checking in with us. We appreciate you coming all the way from England. Thank you.
Yeah, that's listen. 2 years ago, there were 11 people present at the memorial. Now it's dropped down to 9. So that's great.
Oh yeah, well we're seeing the numbers drop. Hey, I gotta run now because I gotta get someone on. They're live at the memorial. I'm trying to get them on, but thank you for checking.
Yeah, of course, okay.
Thank you.
Talking to you, Rick.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Hey, what I'm waiting for here, Fran and Joe are listening. I need Jerry's email, JP's email. I don't have it here. If anyone could, let me just send me his email. If anyone knows Jerry's emails, send me. Hold on 1 second, folks. We're trying to get JP on. All right, I'm trying to use email. I don't have his email here handy. People are saying to get a hold of him, but I don't have his email. So if I had his email, I could click it right on. But I just wrote back to Fran and Joe. I'm going to call Eric once again. Maybe Eric can send it as well because he wants to come live on the program tonight. So let's see if we can call Eric once again and see if we can't get JP's email. Yeah. Yes. Eric, I don't have his email, so could you send me his email? Send me his email.
Either his phone number.
Yeah.
We only texted him. I don't have a reason to have his email.
I don't have his email either.
I just texted him and said, "Give Rick needs your email. I'll call him and see if he'll pick up by any chance."
Yeah, I need his email. Yep. Okay, let's see. We have a new message from Joe and Fran. Let me see if they got his email, and then we'll get him right on here. Okay. Jerry is at the memorial. Yep. Joe. Okay, I got it right here. So we'll send the email right now. Thank you, Joe and Fran. If you're listening, let me send the email to him right now. Copy this. Let's go over here and let me send an email to him right now. Hold on 1 second. We want to get him in. Boy, I got to get him to be able to send some live video from the Kingdom Hall out there in California. So let's see if we can't get that done. Let me just get write an email here now to Jerry. Try to do a lot of things here at once, but we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get him on with us. And wouldn't that be great to have him come on with live video from the memorial to, okay, let's get the address put down here. And, okay, subject, 6 screens. All right, we're going to bring him on right now. Let's give him a link, paste it, and send it. Okay. All right, it's going off right now. Let's see if we can't get Jerry on here with us. I'll see if he comes backstage. If he does, he's going to come in live from California with live video coverage of the memorial and what's going on out there. So we'll see if that happens. So I sent the link off, and we'll see if we can't get Jerry on with us. That's JP, as we know him. He's been on our program numerous times, and we would love to have some live footage of the memorial. And I believe it's right around Los Angeles, California. Well, you're on the 6 screens, Telenetwork. We have Awakening After the Watchtower coming up after this. We're just waiting to see if JP can respond and come in by that link I sent him. And let me make sure I did send the right link. Let me just double check that. Sometimes when you're doing things in a hurry, things can get a little messed up, but just stay tuned, stay with us, and we'll see if we can't get him on. It's just amazing to me what you can do with live streaming and what you can do with, okay, let me make sure you send him the right link. That's what I want to make sure. Okay, let's see why, okay, why didn't I send? All right, let's send a, why is this? Okay, hold on one second. All right, let's give him the link. That's not the link. Okay, hold on one second. Let me just check one thing here, folks. One thing, and then we'll get him on. Okay, Awakening. I got a number of programs going here. We got, okay, just hold on with us. Invite. Okay, let's do this. Just, I'm anxious like you guys are. I want to bring him on. So let's see if we can't do that. Let's get him the right link here. I'm on. Where are you, JP? All right, see if that happens. Make sure you send it out a couple times. Make sure you can get it. Yeah, that's what we try to do here on the 6 screens, is do some things that are quite unique and nice. We have a man right now who is a ex-Jehovah's Witness, but he's going to the convention tonight. Not the convention, but the memorial tonight. And he wanted to do some live footage of it. So we'll give him some time to come on. I did send him a link, so we'll give him some time to come on. So maybe, Jerry, Rick, you are able to put a StreamYard link in the chat on the YouTube. Okay, I can do that too. If someone wants on YouTube, we'll put a link. Okay, let me do that. Maybe that'll help. Let me get the link. All right. Hold on one second. Let me make a banner here. I'll put that link. Hit link to come on. If I had someone working here with me, folks, it'd be a little easier. So let's see what happens. It's hard doing a radio program and doing all this, but let's add the banner now and put that up there. All right. All right, there's a link now. If you hit that link, if you copy and paste that link, you will be able to come on to onto our program. That might be one way of doing it. I did send JP a link, a direct link. All set, Susan. Yeah, I think I got off now. Yep, I think I got off now. Yep. Yeah, sometimes if I knew this ahead of time, I would have been really prepared for it, but I'm thankful that JP is at least letting us be aware of it. We'll see if we can't get him on here. But anyways, it's Memorial Night, as we've been talking. This is the biggest night of the year, and the witnesses are well, I'd like to see JP's live video here. I'd like to see what the witnesses are wearing. Are the women wearing pantsuits? Do the men have beards? So I'd like to see that. I hope Jerry can come on and do it. So we're waiting patiently here for him. Let's see. Out in California right now, they're 3 hours behind, so it's 10:25 here on the East Coast. Out there, it's 7:25, so it would be right around time. Rick, you were able to put a StreamYard link in the chat on YouTube. Yeah, I got that up there. The link is up on YouTube. The link has also been mailed off to Jerry. Let me just check my email once again and make sure. I want to keep double checking here and get him I sent. Jerry is at the memorial. Yes, and okay. Yeah, he does have the link. So let's see what happens. Well, friends, I'll tell you, we've been doing the program for 20 years, but what's made it really nice is the ability to bring people on live when things are happening. And that always wasn't the case. I mean, when we first started, 20 years ago, you couldn't do anything like this. We just relied on a telephone call. But now we're able to bring people. We have Jerry right now. We do have Jerry. Is that you, Jerry?
Gorgeous sunsets. Hearing the sounds of laughter and birds singing, all because your vision, your hearing, has all been restored to perfection.
Put me on silent.
Energy like you've never had before. I mean, you'll be running in circles around young ones. I know I have some racers lined up already.
Put me on silent real quick.
But we're not just talking about healing.
We got to go silent here, folks, because Jerry's walking around with the camera. He's walking around with the camera and in the Kingdom Hall. We got to go very silent here because we don't want people hearing us. So I believe that he's going to get some pictures. Here he goes now. He's at the Kingdom Hall in California. Well, we just lost him. We lost internet transmission. We'll see if he comes back with us. So let's hang in, wait for Jerry to come back. We did get contact with Jerry inside the Kingdom Hall. I believe it's out there in Los Angeles, California. So we'll see what happens. He'll come back on with us. He did lose. Okay, we go. He's coming back. We have to be quiet here, folks.
Rick, can you put me on mute?
He performed miracles that give us a taste.
We got Jerry right now on mute, so people can't hear him. Can you hear me, Jerry? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, I want to make sure he can't because that means my voice would be going through the Kingdom Hall. So there he is right now. That's Jerry JP as we know him. And he looks like he might be in the back room at the Kingdom Hall. I think he's going to get ready to. He wants us to be quiet here, folks. Yeah. Folks, that was JP. JP out in California. We're going to bring JP on Eric's program coming up next. Eric, I'll give him the information. Friends, we're going to eliminate the duck contest tonight because of this breaking situation here with an ex-witness at the memorial. So we'll pick it up in a while with Eric on his program, Awakening After the Watchtower. So we're going to end this program here, and I want you to continue to stand tall. Don't you ever give in, give up or give out, and keep waving that flag of victory. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Stay with us, and we'll get JP giving us more video on Eric's program coming up next. Let's end it right here.